Hello, welcome to Inner Growth. This is Wendy Rodriguez, and welcome to my healing journey. I am super excited to get started and to speak on a numerous amount of hard topics and share my self-reflection throughout all the adversity I've faced. My intention is to create a community of like-minded people that empower one another to know their greatness and to discover their true strength and identity in this world. I am so grateful to have all of you watching and hungry for change. Thank you for your time. And remember, being free is exactly who you are meant to be. Many blessings. Hi everyone, welcome to Inner Growth. Healing is a journey. I'm Wendy Rodriguez, and let's get started with a stretch that I like to do before every single video. So what you do is you get up and get ready to stretch. So you put your feet hip width apart, close your eyes, get in tune to see if your weight is a little bit more forward, back, side, side. Once you figure out where that is, where your weight is more distributed, open your eyes, keep that in mind. And so we get started. So what you first do is you make your hands like this, like that. I'll stand back a little bit. And then you spread them over this way and then that way. Then we go small little circles for 20 seconds. Okay, and then put your thumbs back. 1, 2. Okay, awesome. And then you interlace your fingers like this. You put them right behind your back, like that. And then you close your elbows as much as possible without putting your head up or down. And you do this for 20 seconds. Release. Okay, and then we interlace again, but this time you are going to put your hands like this and all the way up, and then look up. And try to drop your shoulders. Okay, release slowly. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Okay, and now stay in tune with your body to see if the weight has distributed evenly and you feel more balanced. I do. I feel more balanced right now, which is so good. I like to do this exercise, this little stretch thing before every class because of the fact that you'll be sitting for like 10 to 15 minutes during each portion, and I just feel like to be rebalanced, like your structure, your mental health, and everything like that, you would listen better and then retain more of the information. And I usually do this too, like if you're like on like long flights or just really need to feel like you need to rebalance or anything before running, or that's kind of what I do. And so I invite you to do it with me every single time because I think it's super helpful and it helps you rebalance. So that's super good. Okay, we're gonna get started with our video. All right, I'll see you soon. Hi everyone, welcome to Inner Growth. Healing is a journey. I'm Wendy Rodriguez, and let's get started. So today's video will be about limitations. So limitations, part 1. Okay, so just like I said, like the very first video, victimhood, part 1, where I was talking about how I had made an inner growth class last year and it was super great and everything like that. And I just feel like the first 6 topics that I like to talk about before I even start going kind of deeper into all of the other topics that I have, it really helps put like a base of like kind of like a platform of where my beliefs come from, of how I even got there, you know. And so I have the first 6 topics that I want to talk about all written down and thoroughly thought about in my laptop. So for the next 6 videos, in the beginning, the very part 1 will all be me reading the laptop, and then the second video will be more me explaining and exploring more on that. So just so you know. Okay, limitations part 1. Okay. So, what is limitations? Google definition. A limiting rule or circumstance or restriction. Simple enough. I want to start with the power of suggestion. Let's ask ourselves where our limits came from and if they are still true to us today. Most of the time, limits come from those whose power of suggestion we value more than our own. For example, an authority figure, parents, doctors, family in general, media, and friends. It generally never comes from yourself and mostly from other realities of people's and life's experiences. There are countless examples in the world where people are limited because of what they were told before. A great example of this would be the 4-minute mile, which probably you all have heard of. For decades, it was believed that it was humanly impossible to break a 4-minute mile, until Roger Bannister in 1954 proved everyone wrong. And once he had broken the limiting belief, it was amazing. It was an amazing result. 6 weeks after, people all around the world started breaking the 4-minute mile. It was just one man to think that he was capable and believed in himself so deeply that he wanted to test his limit. I heard a story once about the way that they train elephants. So this is kind of an example of limiting beliefs. That's where I kind of came up with the limitation title for the topic of the speaking topic that I'm going to talk about is limiting beliefs more than anything else. Limitations, limiting beliefs. And so I heard a story once that they took a baby elephant and tied it to a pole. Maybe you've heard it before. I just love this analogy. Day in and day out, the baby is starting to become conditioned to believe that he can never escape. He tries for a good while to tug and pull and maybe even untie his foot free. But time and time again, life tells him that this is his reality. So after years of being conditioned, the adult elephant has it programmed in his head that anytime he is tied up to the pole, he can't move more than a couple steps. A full-size elephant can grow up to 6,000 to 13,000 pounds. Can you imagine the kind of power and strength they have? Just naturally, and still living the limiting belief of being a small, weak baby. I associate that with the way that we got programmed as human beings from babies. We start absorbing limiting beliefs. It's proven that the first 7 years of humans' life is always when you download or you start having the hard written beliefs that other people tell you. And use the same information for the rest of our lives until we choose to make impactful changes to liberate ourselves from them. So that is a great starter topic situation, because I truly feel like limiting beliefs are pretty much at the core of everything. Success, failure, or whatever you identify with success and failure, is just the capability of your mindset thinking that you can't, or things like that. And so I want to go further into that a little bit. And so I'll give you a couple of examples. So here's one. All right, so here are a couple of my examples that I think that helped mold the limiting beliefs that I once had, and I'm still working on it today. So I like to call them suggestions, because no one can tell you exactly or force you to believe exactly what you believe. It's all suggestive. And so it just takes the right person to suggest something, and then it becomes true to you because of that person. You give your power away to someone else and it makes it true. So here are a couple of suggestions that were instilled in me, I guess throughout my life. What you say isn't important. You are sick and weak. You are ungrateful. Bad things happen to bad people and good things happen to good people. In relationships, you should leave people before they have the chance to leave you. You won't ever have a normal life. You have to live as if you're 80, even though you're 25. You will always be a scaredy cat. You trust too easily. You don't fit in. And in this suggestion instilled in me, I actually had put in parentheses around each one of the limiting beliefs that I once had, who it came from. And I think that's I think it's almost like a good reflection if you take the time to make a list of just statements that come to you that are just so true. Like, we will never have enough money, or I can't amount to that. I can't do that because I'm shy, because So once you start writing those down, you write down who you gave your power to. And it's not an awful thing to do that, because I think once you realize, let's say those statements that came from certain people, whether they be your family, your friends, or authority figures, then you're able to realize, wow, like I really truly give my power away mostly to this certain person, circumstance, thing. And then from there, you can honestly be more aware of it and work on it. Or you can also see, why do I give my power away? What do they have over me that I can't have for myself? And so it really gives you a lot of ideas on who it came from and why it came from. I think a good example would be parents. So parents are usually some parents tend to be a little bit more worrisome and freak out about little, things. I once had a friend that her parents would definitely not let her go out, and she was always just restricted to stay at home because of her parents' life, their experiences. Her dad definitely lived kind of more of a rebellious life, and so he felt like he had a little bit more, he just knew about life a lot more. And so every time we would want to go somewhere to hang out, all the ideas, the suggestions would be something bad's gonna happen, or what if someone robs you, or what if this and that, and so that's kind of cripples some people, especially if the person that's telling you it is doing it in a loving intention, but also this is a side note, but people are either run away from fear or go towards love. So you can definitely control people with either one of those things. And so fear is the easiest thing to instill in someone in order for them not to do it. And so I think that that's sad, but at the same time, it definitely works. And so once you start instilling limiting beliefs or suggestions that could stop people from doing certain things, which in some cases are good, but also some cases it really just makes someone feel like they are just in a box, and it's very restricting. And so that's happened a lot to me in relationships and with family members, and a lot with my diagnosis and with doctors, that I know that they were doing the very, very best for me, but I think making bold statements from me being so scared, so me believing everything and anything anybody would say to me, it just was honestly not super helpful. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. But at the end of all of this, I think what limiting beliefs do is that they serve a purpose until they don't. And so they're not good, they're not bad, but honestly, as a child saying oh no, don't, jump on the couch, you could fall. That's a suggestion. Yeah, it could happen, but it could not. But it actually helps you, right? That suggestion helps you because you're more aware of that. But also, you go travel alone. I am a super huge advocate that if you have your mindset more positive, I think that more positive things would happen to you. Obviously, be more still be cautious and still be aware, and don't be a little loopy dude, and tra la la. But I know I hear this a lot, like when people travel and they're just like, oh, like when I went to Europe, I got pickpocketed. It's scary out there and like this and that and just all this stuff, right? Like French people are so awful, and like honestly, it just comes from people's experiences. It really does. Like people will share with you their past experiences and almost put their fears on you. And then if you give them the power to, those fears and experiences will become yours without you even living that, right? Like if you sit there and think, how many limiting beliefs are actually yours? How many have you sat and been like, okay, let's say someone goes on an airplane. You've never been on an airplane, right? But someone's like, oh my gosh, like the turbulence is awful, like blah, blah. Like it was their experience, right? But now it scares the crap out of you to go fly. You've never flown, but you're taking their word for it. You're taking their suggestion for it and keeping yourself like, oh, I never want to fly because of turbulence. Like, girl, you've never even flown. So how do you even know? Like I would say, yes, it's healthy to keep that, but I think it's a good balance. Like definitely take in things that are going to serve you, and definitely just kind of, say thank you to the person that suggested that to you, but also do your own thing at the end of the day because you have the power. You are great and you are strong to do honestly whatever it is that you want to do. Of course, this is me advocating for the best version of yourself and not to do like just such toxic things to yourself. I really truly am trying to persuade everyone to do the best for themselves and to become the best version of themselves, but also know that you have the power to give yourself the power and not give your power away just because it's a parental or someone that you feel like is above you. No one is above you. Everyone I see, we're all the same. We are all human race and we literally are all connected. So just remember and really take the time to think, is this limiting belief serving me? And if it's not, I would suggest to let it go or work on really truly not having that same like depth that you feel. Like maybe it could still be surface, but just don't let it control your entire life, And so I just suggest that would be awesome for you to just try and see if you like it. So there's going to be more on this topic for limitations part 2. I have one more story to tell you guys. And so go ahead and feel free to watch it. I think it's super helpful. And so, yes, it's going to be so good. Okay, so always remember that you're unconditionally loved, unconditionally valued, and unconditionally enough. Just by being you, you are perfectly enough and great and amazing, and never forget that. And so it is. Thank you guys. Hi everyone, it's the end of the videos. So what we're gonna do is a little exercise to get your blood pumping and you excited to implement everything that I just told you, okay? So we're gonna go into a runner's pose to get going. So you go into the runner's pose and we're gonna run for 30 seconds in place. It kind of helps you with your abs. It stimulates your blood flow, and because you're sitting there for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. And so this is gonna get you going, okay? Ready? We're gonna race for 30 seconds. Ready, set, go. Done. I know it looks funny, but it's good because being silly really loosens up everything. I'm super excited. I can't wait for the next video. Love you guys. Thanks so much.